Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about The Braxtons, Season 1, Episode 3.
Listen, I need you to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Before we get into this, today is a special day in this household. A little girl was born on this day a long time ago, not too long ago.
Okay.
But today is Blair's birthday. Today is actually the day Blair was born. Everybody give a round of applause for Blair. We thank Blair. That's why y'all ain't get no episode yesterday, because I've been taking care of y'all girl.
Yes.
Make sure y'all show y'all love and y'all appreciation for everything that she does for this channel. It was her idea. I'm just trying to uplift it and bring it to the standard that she envisioned. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Towanda, Trina, and Evelyn go out to eat.
I'm a slave, y'all.
So apparently... Slave to the B-Day weekend.
I know, right?
So Kevin calls Towanda from the jail.
Yeah.
There were charges apparently from the divorce and him failing to appear in court.
Yeah.
So they have their family attorney on it to try to get him out.
Now, here's the thing about it. I did not want to say it on the channel and stuff like that, but with the criminal background, with the criminal justice background that I have and things like that, I knew why he was arrested and things like that. I know why there was a warrant out for his arrest and things like that. It's always because you failed to appear in court. You get what I'm saying? That criminal background. Okay.
That is crazy.
I know, right?
And so Miss Evelyn says that she thinks a lot of it is stemming from the loss of his mom is the biggest issue he's dealing with.
Of course.
Yeah. So Trina wants to have some one-on-one sessions with Spirit, and everyone agrees. And Tawanda's like, not to be shady, but yeah, like you do need to go there. And Trina's like, I didn't take it that way. Like, I agree. I'm going through it.
Yeah. She said every week. Yeah.
And she said that it took her a while to actually put her feelings into words. But now that she's done that, it's hard to manage the feelings, or it's been hard to manage the feelings.
Yeah.
Evelyn was hurt because Traci asked everyone, all the girls, to get along, and no one is honoring what she said. Well, the thing is, they couldn't do it when she was alive. I don't think they're going to be able to do it with her passing.
Talk to him, Blair. Talk to him.
Towanda thinks that everyone is just grieving in their own ways, and they're just starting the healing journey. Trina says that ability and willingness is two different things. If you choose not to participate in the healing process, which I kind of think she was talking about Tamar, when Tamar's like, I've been to grief counseling. This is for y'all. I'm just here to support y'all. Then that's on you if you don't participate.
I actually think that was on Towanda and Toni.
Yeah.
Because Tamar said she went to her own grief counseling by herself, but I'm gonna talk about all of that in just a second. So
Evelyn says that Towanda, Toni, and Tamar all have walls to protect their feelings. They used to be each other's best friends as far as like all the sisters growing up, but she says that she thinks kind of with success that it basically redirected them to where they didn't want to take the time to actually fix the issues between the siblings. And she thanks everyone for paying the bill, and Miss Evelyn walks up out of there.
Of course. Go back up to Traci's wish about them getting along. To Blair's point, Blair hit the nail on the head in just 2 seconds. If I have to wish on my deathbed that y'all get along, that just shows that how much y'all did not get along.
Right.
So this whole idea that I'm starting to believe that, hey, we need to get back to how we were. I think they are trying to get to a place they've never been. And that's why they don't,
not since they were children.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's a place to where, that's why it seems so, that's why they not as close as they are today,
right?
Because they never been there or haven't been there for long periods of time and things like that. I want to turn the spotlight on Towanda just for a second. I'm not gonna hate on Towanda, but I'm going to poke at her just a second. Whenever it comes to anything that have to do with the family or anything that have to do with the sisters and things like that, she recluses herself and she disqualifies herself in ways that I don't really understand. Like even this whole grief counseling thing, she said, yeah, Trina, you need therapy. I think there is a idea, or there's this like this feeling amongst everybody that Trina needs more therapy than everybody else, or needs more counseling than everybody else, because she was the one who seen Traci take her last breath. And yes, that may be true in some essence, but this there's truth that, hey, you need it too, Towanda. Also, Toni, you need it too.
And I think that another thing too probably is the way that Trina is expressing her emotions. Just because she's not as stoic and able to kind of like hide things and not speak about it doesn't mean that, you know, you guys don't also need it because you handle it differently. You know?
And I actually think that Trina, the way that Trina handling it is the way, in my opinion, she's gonna get her issue fixed faster because it's raw and she put it out there on the table and it came out like vomit. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, everybody needs the grief counseling. And Trina, and not Trina, Towanda, whenever you hear her talking to her confessionals, she's always somebody said it perfectly in the comments last episode. I wish I could remember your name, and will paraphrase because I can't really remember it. But she tries to intellectually use logic,
intellectualize her emotions.
There we go. To basically say, well, I should feel this way, and that's how she basically feels. But we don't really get to hear how she really feels, because whenever a death like that, as close as everybody was, no matter if Miss Evelyn made them be that way or not, it's not logic. You can't make sense of it, right? So I think that is her way of just trying to suppress it, basically saying, like, you know, we all are processing, and you know, we all started the journey, you know. And even Miss Evelyn said that y'all over here wearing these necklaces, but the truth of the matter is y'all not doing the actual work of taking Traci with you everywhere you go, because taking Traci everywhere you go means taking what she asked for, taking what she wished for on her deathbed, and basically her like, hey, this is her creed. Her creed is she want us to be close and for us to get along, and getting along mean actually being honest and saying, Tamar, I'm not really feeling you. You my sister, but I don't like you. Or vice versa. You get what I'm saying? Toni opening up more. Hey, the reason why I kind of isolate myself is because I felt like I raised y'all and I want time to actually raise my kids. You get what I'm saying? I'm guessing. I don't know. You know? What did you think about the scene? If you have anything to add?
Nothing more to add. I feel like I interjected my thoughts throughout the retelling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that everybody needs individual therapy. I second that. Yeah. So Toni meets with her manager and music supervisor. She has the upcoming Vegas show with Cedric the Entertainer. Toni feels part of the pressure is kind of off of her because she has like a co-host to do the show with, or co-star. Every day she's hoping that she doesn't get sick. They start going through talking about if she gets tired, do we have like a contingency plan? Am I able to kind of switch things up on the fly if I need to take a break? And they're saying that they have everything in place to where if she's not feeling well, they can maneuver the show in a way to where she can take the rest that she needs. She says it's not easy to navigate, but her health comes first, and both the manager and music supervisor agree with that. And so it looks like she's going to at least be able to be as safe as possible when it comes to these shows.
Only thing I have to add to this is one thing that she said, to paraphrase, is that like, hey, we did the grief counseling, but I had to fly back and get back to work. And get back to my regular day of life, my everyday A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You get what I'm saying? And that just lets me know that, hey, and I understand work is work, but what is the priority on basically making sure that not only you come out on the other side healed from this, but also your sisters. And I understand the burden of always having to look after your sisters, hiring your sisters and things like that. But it did kind of be like, well, we back to what my everyday life is. My everyday life is not being in Georgia or being in Atlanta and things like that, and basically sitting around my sisters and talking about how we feel and things like that. I could kind of get lost in my work. Actually, that may even be my happy place. You get what I'm saying? So and there's a danger in that too. You get what I'm saying? Because even Toni was open to share her fears and things like that. Even some as fearful as having a heart attack and not being able to survive that because of her conditions and things like that. So it just shows basically the complexity of everybody's everyday life, while at the same time trying to navigate this tragedy that happened to them and things like that.
I just want to say that I think that it's great that her team is supportive of her and aren't they're not trying to push her so that way, you know, she's kind of like a workhorse trying to get them the most money that they can get. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like everyone is taking her health into priority, and they're going to make sure that she's safe, and that, like one of the guys said, like, we want you on earth as long as possible.
Facts.
So we're not going to try to convince or coerce you to stay on stage when you're not feeling it. Like, you know, and I'm happy that she has a team like that on her side, and that she knows where her limits are, because like you said, if you're somebody who can get lost in work and push yourself and all this type of stuff, you might not even want to stop yourself. So it's glad that she is doing it for herself, but she also has a group of people that are looking out for her too.
Yes.
So we get to Tamar and Evelyn. So they are going out, just kind of walking in the park. Apparently Evelyn had been there before with like a guy friend. So Tamar's just like, my mom's out here dating and doing all this type of stuff. So yes, Miss Evelyn has a life. Okay. So Evelyn and Tamar have been doing a cooking show together, which they've really been enjoying. Tamar has been writing a book about her life's journey. She, you know, talks about how she thinks that she's going to be someone who needs to be in therapy forever. Like she kind of considers it like somebody who's in AA and goes to their weekly meetings. Like she needs to do that in order to stay focused and stay on track for her wellness and mental health. So she's talking about maybe the name of the book being Under Construction, and that's something that Miss Evelyn thinks that is a really good name idea for the book, because she is constantly working on herself to be a better person. My thoughts about it, I'm kind of conflicted about it.
Help me.
I think it's good that you know if therapy is something that you need, and that you go. But I'm also of the belief that therapy doesn't need to be an infinite thing. I think that you go to get tools to work, to learn how to cope and deal with different situations. If a new situation comes up, or just emotionally you're feeling down, then definitely get back into therapy. And it can be spurts of going to therapy for 6 months, and then maybe for 3 months you feel like you can work those tools and you can manage, and then maybe something else in life happens to where you need to go back. So I'm not saying that once you go you can never go back, but it also to me seems like a crutch in a way of I get to go every week, and I have this person that's like I'm accountable to, and all this type of stuff. But it just kind of to me seems like in some ways it could be you're going to this person to complain or to vent, or you have someone to lay your issues out to, which might be needed at some times. But I think that the whole purpose is to get to a point to where you can manage things on your own and learn how to be healthy in relationships and situations, so that way you don't have to go to this person to kind of lay your burdens down every single week. Like you're a healthier person overall. And I don't know if being in therapy all the time infinitely is going to get you to stand on your own and be accountable to yourself for what you do and how you handle situations. Actually,
you took this such a left turn. I'd rather stay on this road.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong with Tamar, right? But outside of anything that is diagnosed, you get what I'm saying? I'm just gonna take that off the table, so y'all don't be like, you don't know what she needs, Chris. If I'm speaking to the things that is not diagnosed. Right. Therapy is a means to an end, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. And and if you have a therapist that tells you it's not a means to end, that you need to come in here every day for like basically every week for like the rest of your life, find a new therapist. They robbing you. You get what I'm saying? It's a means to an end. And actually, Blair, to your point, it actually lets me question, are you really dedicated to doing the work? Because if you already say that, hey, I know I'm gonna have to be in therapy for like every day of my life and things like that, or basically every week of my life, it's kind of like AA. AA is a diagnosed disease. Yeah. If you have a selfish or like you're a selfish person, there is a point to therapy to where you have to be accountable for you. Right. And you have to do the work with the tools that we have collaborated with for you to do. So to Blair's point, I do question how serious that she's taking therapy. And I'm sorry, I have to use the real world as a metric, especially when we see certain outbursts and things like that. Are you doing the work? Every time you go to therapy, it's not a reset. It should be okay, we go continue where we start off from. And every person that I hear that champions therapy on reality TV that says I be here every week, they don't be doing the
work. They just be going to a building every week.
They don't be doing the work. And they use therapy as an excuse to be like, oh, trust me, it's not me because I go to therapy. It's you. Mm-hmm. Where many times the not, it's like, I think it's you. You get what I'm saying? So hopefully Tamar is doing the work, but honestly, especially at your big age, unless it's something that's diagnosed, right, that like you really need to handle, therapy every week for the rest of your life is not it. Therapy is a means to an end. Exactly. Do the work and get out of there. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Unhand your therapist. Let them go and let them see other people. Okay.
Right. So Toni is at rehearsal. Yeah. And we just kind of get to see how she's doing that, and you know, the dancers and everything, and it does look to be like that is Toni's happy place. Yeah. She seemed comfortable. She seemed relaxed. Like, it seemed like that is what was feeding Toni's soul in the moment. And that's what she needed, which I feel like she looked more comfortable there than the counseling session, which just kind of speaks to maybe, I don't know, like when people say like, oh, the gym is my therapy or this is my therapy, I'm just like, I think you actually need to go to therapy, but only if you're really going to do the work, like you said, to actually express what's going on, because otherwise you just sitting staring at somebody in the face and they can't help you because they don't know what's going on with you. But I think therapy would be helpful to Toni if she participated in it fully, but I could tell that she just seemed like she had like a air of relief over her during her rehearsal. Okay. So Towanda FaceTimes Toni.
Stop right there. Towanda, did you call Tamar today, Towanda? Okay. I see. You called Toni, and I know it's filming day, so did you take time out to call Tamar today? That's all I want to know. See, here's the thing about being the youngest, right? Because I'm the youngest of two other siblings, right? So it's three of us, right? By the time I was born, my parents was tired. Right, so there was no chasing me. There was no. You always hear the older siblings that say you should have got more beatings than what we got. Okay, then y'all should have been born after me. Then you get what I'm saying. So you could actually see Tamar's relationship with Miss Evelyn to where she gets the benefit of potentially being the favorite without getting the accountability, all while being big grown. Right, but the benefit of being the youngest is I actually get to see all my older siblings for who they are. And they may not like how I tell them who they are or how I express myself, but at the end of the day, I see you. Right. And I may not know you that long and things of that nature, even though they like 3 years, 4 years apart and things like that compared to her, Towanda and Trina and things like that. But it's like, oh, I see you. So when I hear that Towanda and Tamar kind of have some riff and things like that, hey, listen, I actually don't know whose side I'm on. Because I don't agree how Tamar acts out. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't agree with how she expresses herself or how she chooses to express herself. But Towanda, I also not on the side of you building a boundary and being passive aggressive either. Like it's just like y'all are actually more alike than y'all think. Y'all even look alike, Towanda and Tamar. So my only question is the same courtesy that you called Toni to see how she doing and things like that, to update her and things like that on Kevin and things like that. Did you call Tamar and update her? Because that's something that came out in therapy that she's like, I don't know what's going on. Update your sister about what's going on.
True. So Kevin Jr. is out of jail. Yeah. He didn't call to let Towanda know that he was out. She tells her that Trina is going to continue to go to grief therapy with Spirit. And she asks, so when are you going to go? And what's her name? Toni. Toni knows that she needs to go. But just even talking about it, thinking about it, she's just like, it's just kind of stressful and overwhelming. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's not gonna get much easier the longer it goes. It's just gonna go in that closet full of stuff. Right. You get what I'm saying?
So we get to see Evelyn and Tamar do their cooking show. They're sharing recipes, stories, and they talk. And Evelyn talks about how food brings peace, and that's where the family has shown love to each other, being in the kitchen, cooking together, and sharing meals together. Yeah. Trina ended up coming through, showing off her bartending skills, and just kind of throwing it in there. I really like how Trina shows up for her family. Like, to me, Trina comes across as like a very like unproblematic party to the group of the sisters. Like, it seems like I felt like with Trina and Traci, they both were kind of like the fun-loving sisters, the ones who just wanted to enjoy spending their time with everybody, which I think everybody does, but it also seems like the other sisters have more hang-ups or more odds with each other. So, but I like how Trina, even no matter what they're going through, I feel like she shows up and she tries to remain positive to keep the bonds together.
Yeah.
So
and listen, I think it just that middle child syndrome. It's just what it is. Usually the middle child is the one that usually love mommy the most and things like that. But it's not mommy's favorite. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? It's just the middle child, the one that get overlooked. That's why it's called the middle. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna look at the first or I'm gonna look at the end. But many times than not, the middle child is usually the foundation that basically mediates everything but gets no respect for it. That's why, like, going back to the first episode or like the second episode, I don't know when it was, but when Towanda said something to Trina, basically, or Trina told us that Towanda said that, hey, you're not strong enough to be there for Traci's last breath and things like that. I want to challenge that for a second. Only because Trina was the only one that opened herself up and bared her soul, as Blair said. She is strong enough, right? And it may not seem like it now, because, you know, when she go to sleep, as if we about to enter this therapy session, she go to sleep, she hates the darkness, she sees her ex-husband, she sees her sister and things like that. Yes, it's like that now. But there will come a point where you will be able to handle it. And you get stronger in these type of things. You get what I'm saying? So I don't want to just say, like, Trina, you need to go to therapy because you can't handle it. Listen, the one that can't handle it is the one that got a wall up and can't talk. The one that tried to intellectualize herself away from her own emotions. That's the one that's not strong enough to actually bear their soul. And basically, it doesn't matter if anybody else does it. You get what I'm saying? So that's all I got to say. I meant to say that last time, but I just remembered it now.
Okay. So Trina meets with Spirit one-on-one.
Yeah.
And she knows that she has a lot of work to do.
You do.
So different things replay through her head, and Spirit asks her, like, what exactly are those snapshots? And Trina isn't ready to share what it is. It's just too painful to verbalize. It
is.
Spirit says that, you know, it lives in you until you touch it, and I can't help you until you're ready to let it go.
Yes.
So you're going to need to be able to sleep and to control your thoughts, and that's what's going to help you get better.
Yeah.
So Trina explains that the issue as far as like sleep and thoughts and all those types of things really started when her ex-husband passed away, and she felt that she was being punished by her current husband because he was of the belief, basically, you're grieving another man, you must still love him, you must still be in love with him. And she was like, no, like, I was more so grieving the man who was in my life for 16 years, who was there for my kids, who was in my day-to-day and raising my children with me. Like, that's what I'm grieving. So she talks about how her ex-husband would visit her in her sleep, and how Traci does that as well sometimes. And the Spirit asks, have you ever thought about not wanting them to visit you in your sleep so that way you can get some rest? And Trina's like, absolutely, I want to be able to sleep. So she doesn't want to continue to lean on the grief in order to remember that person, but in a way, that's what she's doing. In order to feel that strong connection to them, she's leaning into and relying on her grief to keep them alive in a sort of way. So she doesn't want to fall further apart in her relationship with her sisters. They hadn't really had like a sit down conversation until they met with Spirit to have that grief counseling. And they still haven't worked through anything as a family. She was like, during that counseling session, really nothing was accomplished.
And just to let you know, they did that counseling session 2-year anniversary. So 2 years already passed. And now we're going on the third and nothing has come to pass. So let me share a little something about grief, at least from my perspective. For new people who's watching, I try to insert what I know because I lost both my parents I lost my mother at a very young age, 11, 12 years old. I lost my father before the age of 30. So when I lost my father, right, actually, like, how many years ago was that? 4 years ago, maybe? It made the grief of losing my mother stronger, right? Because when you think you're over it and you and you lose a mother, you cling on to whatever you have left.
Yeah.
Right. So me and my father was very close, very, very close, best friends even. It's funny because I grew up a mama's boy. I'm still a mama's boy. Mm-hmm. But when she passed away, you cling on to basically what's left. And then while he was passing away and I was his caregiver, there's another grief that comes with my mother that I was not expecting to have in my 20s and things like that, was her memory. I couldn't remember things. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Because I was 11 years old.
You're so young.
So I'm like, I can't remember the sound of her voice. Mm-hmm. I can't remember like just small details that make a person unique in them. You get what I'm saying? So when the old man passed away, that's what I called him. Old man passed away. It made basically the totality of losing my parents unbearable, right? But here's the thing about that type of weight. That weight doesn't get lighter. So I'm not going to over here and tell y'all that, oh, these snapshots and things of that nature may go away. It may not go away and things like that. I'm going to tell you how much it didn't go away. When they did the body for my old man and things like that, I almost didn't recognize him because, you know, when they take him to the funeral home, you give him a picture and you make them look like what the closest to the picture. I forgot what he looked like with all that weight on him.
Right, with him being healthy.
Exactly. Because the only image that I can have of my father is near the last days where he didn't have all that weight, right? But I say all that to say, for anybody in the comments, and if you feel free to share anything you want to share, listen, it's an open platform for y'all. The weight doesn't get lighter, you get stronger. So I don't want nobody to ever get a wrong impression of like, oh, it's going to go away and therapy is going to help me deal with it. It's going to go away. No, the weight doesn't get lighter. 100 pounds is going to forever feel like 100 pounds. The only way to get through it is you got to be able to lift that 100 pounds. So during life, while people say, Chris, you deal with it and all these things, I said, no, the weight didn't get lighter. I got stronger.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, I go back to say, even though Towanda say Trina wouldn't be able to handle it, but the fact that she's tackling this head on, and that this started off as a group grief counseling session, and now Trina's the only one in grief counseling session, or just in counseling by itself, in therapy by itself, she may be weak now. But if she continues and trusts the process, she will be the only one out of everyone that will have the healing that they supposed to have in the passing of their sister.
Yeah, and I do feel like I'm happy that Trina went to do the individual counseling, even if she couldn't talk about all of everything she's experiencing the first time. She still spoke about kind of trying to get to the root of where things started. And like Spirit said, when grief happens, it's a lot more than just the one situation. And we're kind of learning that with Trina, you know, through the passing of her ex, and he was young and he had cancer at the time when he passed, that she is able to start getting to the root of the issues, so that way they can kind of start attacking the branches and the leaves and everything that started to arise.
100%.
So I think that that's great that Trina's doing that. And I also love the fact that she, even though the family is having all these issues, like, she still wants to be close to everybody. She wants everybody to be able to come together and to be strong. And I think that she can continue to do the work with her family once she is healthier individually. Yeah. You know, I feel like she's doing a great job how she's doing it now anyways. But I think that after a while, people do get tired when you realize other people aren't trying. Yeah. And you, in a way, you just kind of like give up and just like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on my household. It's easier that way. But if she's able to continue and to, like you said, get stronger, then she might be able to be the glue that starts helping piece the family back together. Maybe. So Trina and Vaughn, they're packing, getting ready to go see Kevin in DC. Towanda and her boyfriend are also going to be going as well. So Vaughn asks her how the session with Spirit went, and Trina tells him that she has been processing a lot when it comes to Tony's heart issue, Tracy's passing, and the fact that Trina feels bad for Toni because she's single and she has to deal with a lot of her issues alone. Yeah. And she's not used to opening up and communicating about it because there's nobody in her life that she really has to do that with. And if she doesn't share those things, it's, you know, it's very serious. So Toni, she believes, should talk to somebody as well. But Trina thinks that they should all do something fun when they get to DC, just something to let their hair down and kind of relieve some of this pressure.
Yeah.
So
only thing I have to say, and maybe y'all can update me on Vaughn because I don't really know much about him. He has a very serious demeanor, and I don't want to take his serious demeanor and misjudge it. Okay. And basically be like, are you a good guy or are you a bad guy? Okay. He could just be a serious guy, Chris. You know what I'm saying? But I do like the fact, because most guys would not say anything, and sometimes don't look at how he says it or the demeanor of how he said it. Look at what he says. And the fact that he said, hey, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Like you off.
Yeah, you came home, you were to yourself, you wasn't talking, like, what's going on?
So I like that, right? But that's all I have on him. Maybe y'all, who been watching it and who's really true to this can really give us backstory on what type of guy he is. And I don't want to judge the past on how he felt about how Trina was dealing with her ex passing. Because I never been in that situation, and he probably looked on the surface and said, you crying over another guy and things like that. I understand that it's ignorant and even mean to say, but if she got past that, and if they're past that, I don't want to come back and review and be like, he's a bad guy because of that mishap. Right. We all have our mishaps. We all have our moments to where it's like, who is this guy? Who is this girl? What's going on? But I do like the fact that he confronted her in the way of like, what's up with you? Yeah. Tell me what happening in that counseling session. Maybe it could be taken as did y'all talk about me? Okay. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I have to say about that scene.
Okay. So Towanda and Sean, her boyfriend, they're living together. Things are going well in their relationship. Her kids are teenagers now, and we get to see her like pick the kids up. And so she is trying to call Kevin Jr., but his phone isn't receiving any calls. They also want to check on him because since the mother passed, he has developed seizures. So they want to make sure that he's safe and healthy as well. And, you know, when she's talking to her kids, they want to come to visit their cousin and be a support to him as well. But she's like, I'm gonna have to think about it, and honestly I don't think they should go. I think that they're too young, and like she said, we don't know what state of mind or condition that he's going to be when we get there. So it might not be
it may not be conducive.
It might not be conducive for the younger kids to be there, and then she has to explain to them what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So let the adults handle it. So eventually, they end up getting Kevin on the phone, and they find out that I guess at the jail they took his phone, so he has to get a new phone now. But Towanda lets him know that they are coming out to see him. So
is that it?
Yep, that's everything.
Listen, this episode was a little lighter. Not little, definitely lighter than the last two episodes. So far, I'm enjoying the season. Yeah. Stick to it, guys. Definitely stick to it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for everything that y'all doing with this show. Definitely supporting. Definitely blowing my mind with it. I didn't think that a lot of people watch our review for this, but I am very ecstatic about the way that this show is going so far. What is your thoughts on this episode?
I think it's just like brings about like real good like conversation about grief, family dynamics, and just kind of how people tend to silo by themselves or go to food and drink to cope and deal with issues. So it's just real. It's just real. Yeah. And I like talking about real things and watching real things. Yeah. So
and that's one thing I like. I don't particularly like talking about grief. Right. Just to let people know. I'm not just over here like, well, you know, my mama died, my daddy died, I'm by myself, I got an orphan kind of thing. No, it's not that. It's just once you've been to the depths of hell, figuratively, you get what I'm saying? And I know the way out. So I can always go in and navigate my way through and come out. You get what I'm saying? Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Happy birthday, Blair. Make sure y'all say that in the comments. Show her your love. We see y'all next week.
Thank you.